Excellent connection. Google is so supportive. Excellent connection. It's nice. Oh yeah, I don't know how to log into my tablet. There we go. Okay, we are live. There we go. Things are happening. Sorry, I decided to take this specific moment to put lotion on my hands. So if you give me like 38 seconds. How are you guys? Good? Love it. Okay. Salutations, friends. My name is Brianna Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar. And really quick, before we get into this whole shenanigans, I have a book that's out, The Queen of Thieves and the Throne. It's available for purchase on Amazon.com. Link should be down below. Hopefully let's do that. It should be. We'll see. But if that sounds super familiar to you, that may be because I just got out of my Twitch stream in which I said kind of the whole spiel. No Ordinary Scholar is my Twitch username as well. Just making it easy for you guys. But let's talk about this book that I read, Delphiniums and Deception. Oh, I need to change the thumbnail of this because I see Twitch is throwing me off. I completely forgot to make a thumbnail for that video and for this video. And so currently the thumbnail is just the thumbnail is my last live stream's thumbnail. That's great. Well, that's a mistake we're gonna have to fix later, but that's okay. Books. So, Delphiniums and Deception. 5 things you need to know about it, just to so you're on the same page I am. I don't have a ton of crazy notes about it, but there's just a couple things I want to touch on. But yeah, number 1, you have this chick. Her name's Diana Flowers. She is a florist in this super small town. She also used to be a chemist. 2, you have this guy named Fergus. He is a conspiracy theorist that is head over heels in love with Diana. It's obvious that by the end of this whole series of books, they're going to be together for sure. 3, Fergus. He made a trip for them. Because Diana's birthday is in a couple days, so he planned. She's gonna try and crawl inside this drawer, but it's way too small for her, especially with stuff inside. So he planned this whole trip for them to go on, where they're going to be going out to this fort, and it's gonna be a retreat where they are making bouquets and floral arrangements, because she doesn't really know how to do that. And so she's like, oh my god, that's so cool. And they're in a fort. It's supposed to be locked down. Everyone has their phones taken away. There's no way for you to get outside of this space. There's no way for you to get outside. And there are punishments when you get the challenges wrong, or for being even late to the sessions. And that is because it's the science of you want them in these high pressure situations, and they'll perform better as well as recall everything better. And that's the advertisement for this whole thing. And he does it half because he is in love with her and wants to make her happy and give her something great for her birthday. That's obviously half of the reason why. The other half is because there are rumors that this place, there's an alien spaceship somewhere on this fortress, and that this is just a really popular landing spot for aliens. And so that's the other half of why Fergus wants to be there. But alas, things are kind of thrown up on their heads when a woman, Christine Montague, is murdered during the trip. The first night she gets killed. And so here is where, hi BB, we have just a little desk kitty right now. But here's where things get super duper spoilery. And if that's not something you're into, I'm sorry. That's just kind of what I do here. So, number 4, everyone, basically everyone that is at this retreat, except for the 2 guides, the two guides that are leading them around the fort to go from like challenge to challenge. Those two, the Diana and Fergus, of course, and one like random guy who's married to someone else on the trip. Those are the only characters who are not involved with the murder. Everyone else, including the person who made this whole course, is involved in the murder of Christine Montague. And number 5 is the reason why. Because, you know, I'm already, like, spoiling everything, so I might as well tell you why. So Christine Montague is, basically, for sure, like a couple years ago, or, like, a year ago, in the past, she sabotaged a competing garden designer's sculpture, and the whole thing crashed and it killed him. And everyone, the competing sculptor's name was Eric Harding, and it killed him. And then the two sculptors that had made it, the police, in what most people find to be of like a really poor job of like trying to figure out anything for this case, but the police decide to arrest the sculptors for negligence, and they were put in jail and they died in jail. Just like people are saying from like just a broken heart of being arrested for this, they died in jail, and they were also older. And so everyone that was involved in these murders either like had some relationship with Eric Harding, or they had like there was one person that had a relationship with the two sculptors. And so that's why they all, and because they all are like 99, no, Coco is just 99%, like everyone is like 99% sure that Christine was the one that sabotaged the sculpture, and based on the evidence they provided, yeah, she probably did it. He broke out the laser pointer to save me.
And that's it. That's all it is.
So.
Now they're just going to look for a while.
So, I will say, it was a good book. I liked it. It was one of those, the thing though is, it got to a point where, like, there was just nothing really, like, they were going nowhere in terms of, because you know how I love to be able to figure out a mystery before the people who figure out the mystery. So as I'm, like, trying to think of it, I'm like, there's really no information being passed around. There's nothing going on that kind of really even seems like it, like, nothing made it seem like one specific person was super duper guilty. And there was nothing that, like, even really like, almost the evidence that was being given didn't really point to anyone. And so I was at the point where I wasn't, like, 100% sure everyone did it, but I was like, it's, like, the most likely option is that everyone else did it, but I'll wait to see what the story tells me. Because it didn't really necessarily point, like, they did have one character, his name was Rich, who he acted super goddamn guilty the whole time, but the evidence that we were being given just wasn't really pointing to anyone at all. So there was that. Like, also, Rich was the only character, aside, of course, from Diana and Fergus, he was the only character that, like, I actually remembered. Like, all of these other names were floating around, and they meant nothing to me, but, like, we just have a neighbor going around, he's cool, it's fine. But, like, you had all these other names going around that meant nothing to me. I honestly forgot that those characters were even in this, book. So, like, we just had, like, all of these other characters that, when it came around to, like, after Diana had figured it out and was accusing people, everyone took, like, a page to explain how they were related to it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that, like, Bella, there's a Bella in this book? Who's Bella? Apparently she's super involved. It was, like, you just had a lot of characters that I didn't remember at all. So, yeah, sure, I guess they're in the story, too. And the cats are just freaking out right now, but that's okay. So, that was, like, one of my own, like, only real complaints is that, no, they're fine, is that, like, there were a bunch of, like, undefined characters that like, suddenly had a lot of major importance into the story. And also, like, that scene where they were all going over, like, everyone's role in this was so long, my lord. But I understand why it was long, but it was just so long. Other note, I have, like, 2 notes. I have 2 notes, really. 3 notes. I have 3 more notes we can go over, so this might be a shorter stream, who knows. But note number 1, at the very beginning of the book, they're doing a challenge, and one where you have to, like, match these pre-made bouquets with a vase, and there was one extra vase, and everyone was starting to argue now, like, oh my god, should something be in that vase? Which one is it? Blah, 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 blah. And Fergus, to shut everyone up so they stopped, like, arguing about it, just dropped the vase and broke it so everyone would stop complaining, and they won the thing. And you have, like, this is the funniest scene in the book. You have, like, all of the instructors for this course are videos. They're videos, like, interactive videos. And so once they've completed the challenge, the video's like, it's a good thing. I'm glad you guys figured out that this was, like, a red herring because that vase had no water in it. But shing. And they're like, we just wanted to throw that in here because it's an ancient artifact that was found in this very area. We just wanted to throw in some culture for you guys to enjoy. And the video is, like, looking at where the vase was supposed to be, and Fergus is just like, you know, guys, at least we don't have water to clean up. That was the funniest moment in this book. I loved it so much. That was so funny to read. My next note is, when the murder happened, like, what we see is Diana wakes up, she hears some noises, she goes outside, and, like, there's someone in like a military uniform, and it's glowing, running down the hall, and she was gonna go chase him, but then one of the tour guides is like, but no, there's a door on that side, but it's locked. Like, no one could ever get in there. No one could ever get down there. It's locked, so it's a dead end. And, like, it'd be one thing if it was a wall that was a dead end, but it's a door. Like, the fact that, like, having this woman who, from all accounts, it seems like in one of the previous books, because this is, I believe, the 2nd book in her series, so in the previous book, it seems like she solved a murder before. How do you solve a murder? And, like, how do you have this one person who has solved a murder before and this conspiracy theorist both be like, oh, they said there's a door down that hall and it's locked? Yeah, no one could get through there. Like, it's a door. You could easily, like, pick those. Just, even the worst you could do, just try the handle. And they do eventually, like, try the handle. It opens. She goes down there. But, like, just the fact that anyone on the night of the murder was like, oh, it's a door, they must have been stopped, so no one could have possibly gone down there. That's just, I feel like that's one thing that was really hard for me to believe in this. And then the other thing was, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but especially because, like, it probably is really fitting with the whole series, but there was just one moment of, like, excessive bonding between, it sounds really, like, bad when I say that, but it's like this one scene of bonding between Fergus and Diana where what happened basically was, there was Rich was super interested and, like, super flirty with Diana, and then this chick Tanya was super flirty with Fergus. And, like, the entire time, like, anytime Fergus sees her with Rich, he's like, like, what are you two talking about? And then Rich became, like, the number one suspect, and so obviously now he could talk about it, but he was so jealous. I know it. I know it. But, like, Rich was getting, like, super pushy about being with Diana, and she was like, nope, and dipped. And then Fergus came to the room with her because they had to stay in a room. There was only one room prepared. It's a whole mess, but they ended up having to share a room. And so he goes to the room after her, and they're, like, talking. And it was that, and there was another scene where they're on the roof of the whole fort, and they're talking, and, like, it's they're bonding, and it's very it's like those scenes that become very evident where Fergus just really does like her. And I get it, the need for it in a story. I get the use for it in a story. One of the cats turned on the Xbox. But, like, it's not necessarily bad. It's just not something I was particularly interested in. Like, it very much reminds me of, if anyone has seen the TV show Bones, it very much reminds me of their relationship. And, as someone who knew from the very beginning, oh, these two are going to get together, mostly because, the show started, back when we only had cable, so I would see, season 8 episodes, and then I have the first 3 seasons on DVD, so when I go back, I'm like, ugh, I know what you two are thinking. But it seems like, I know it's probably necessary for the development of these characters. It's just not necessarily, the parts of the story I was particularly interested in. But that's really more of a preference thing. I tend to be, a little bit harder on romance. I tend to be a little bit more skeptical and, less interested in romance in general. So that's just the thing for me. But overall, I did like this book. I liked it so much that I went on Amazon and bought... Because I got Delphiniums and Deception for free. It was just available for free on Freebooksy. And so I actually went the other day, when I finished it, I went and bought the first, the box set of the 5 books for this series, as well as I signed up for her email list to get a free copy of the, what is it called? Prequel. I got a free copy of the prequel as well. So those are books that we'll see if you guys want me to read them on stream, but I do think I will get around to reading them. They were quite fun indeed. But yeah, I think Fergus as a character is quite funny. There was another scene in the story where, because it was Diana's birthday, everyone had to try and make a, a floral arrangement that she would like, but... and they're like, we have all of these pre-answered questions from Diana, and Diana's like, what? And Fergus actually had answered all of these questions for her, and he put basically the exact opposite of the things that she would like, so that way it was a one for all, everyone man for themselves kind of challenge. He finished it first, and it was just them eating some birthday cake, talking about suspects in the murder, while everyone else was trying to figure out what to do, because obviously, the Diana they knew and were getting to know didn't like any of these things. But yeah, I did like this book. I thought it was, I feel like the biggest, the weirdest part for me was thinking that the person that had made this whole course was in on this whole thing too. Mostly because then they have to continue with it, they have to keep using this floral arranging course. Otherwise, it's going to seem suspicious that, after someone had been murdered and you never really seemed super concerned about the murder when you found out about it, you suddenly just don't want to even try to do it again. I don't know. There were some small things, but really overall, it was a very good book. I did really like it. I thought Fergus was hilarious. And there's some, there were puppers in the book. They were only in it for, a little bit because, of course, they're on a retreat, so they didn't get to bring the dogs with them. But, puppers are always nice. That's always fun. So, we'll see if I end up reading it again. We'll see what I end up reading next, as per the new usual, really. I will be posting on Instagram later tonight what my next book for these streams is going to be. I just keep getting, the lighting of this is just rough today. I'm sorry. But we'll see what I end up doing for my next book stream. I actually think I know exactly what I'm going to be doing, but, that's for me to know and you to find out later on my Instagram. Firestorm2343, Tormenta de Fuego 2343 is where you can get that information. And again, I do have a Twitch in which I was streaming just before this on Twitch. We were hanging out. I was doing some work. It was nice. It was fun. I do post those Twitch streams, Twitch No Ordinary Scholar. I do post those on my vlog channel as well, so you can go back and watch them later. And so we have fun over there. Book is out and available for purchase. The Queen of Thieves: A New Throne. Don't forget to check that out. That is linked down below. First book of the series. And last but not least, Patreon. Support me for as little as $2 a month over there, and you get first chapters, the books for early. You get to see the covers early. We have a lot of chat-ins over there. And, you know, like, depending, as I get more and more people over on my Patreon, I might let you guys choose some of the books that I read. Especially, like, as I, like, get more and more people and do not need to work. Because that's why I've talked about this maybe just on my Twitch. But I've been reading a lot of, like, print and, like, eyes to words kinds of books recently. Because when I'm working, I work 30 hours in 3 days. So those 3 days I can't do any work. And then the other 4 days, like, those 3 days I can't do anything for YouTube, writing, anything like that. So the other 4 days, I am trying to squeeze in all of the work that I need to do. And it's a whole heck of a time. But, like, as we get more friends over on Patreon, and as I don't need to work those intense hours in such little time, then, like, those days kill me. So Mondays are really hard to get work done anyway. But as we get bigger and as we get better, I will probably be able to read print to paper books. I'll be able to read longer print to paper books, because I might be able to read, like, some, like, 200-page books or something less. So as we get there, I might be able to, like, have you guys over on Patreon select some books for me to read. So that'll be fun too. Whole lot of shenanigans are in the works. So I can't wait to have you guys all join me for all of that. But until then, and until next time, valedictions, friends.